into stand-up comedy.
I've only been to just, I think, a couple of funerals.
No,
That's right, I'm real. I'm real, guys.
I tell you, I saw Chappelle in Vegas, guys. Just a few days. Yeah. That's just the sound you should make. It was great. It was a fun time. But man, like, yeah, the edge, edgy.
Yeah, it's a little. I don't know how to be edgy. Every time I'm edgy, I just depress people.
You just make people sad.
Yeah.
You gotta learn. It's a learned thing. You gotta rehearse it.
It sucks. Well, I don't know. Is there a name to this panel, or did you just have Ricco and me sitting here talking?
Let's talk Dragonball.
Part one.
Part one?
Yeah. Yeah, you have another session.
Part two right after this.
Okay, so,
Well, this is all you, bro.
okay. So my
Let the
name is
game
Eric Vale.
begin.
In the Dragonball franchise, I play Future Trunks in all incarnations, with the exception of Young Trunks. I do not play the kid. That is played by Alexis Tipton. I also play the tournament announcer, who's clearly more popular than Trunks. Ricco.
Oh, hey everybody. My name's Ricco Fajardo. In the Dragon Ball universe, I play Few. If you aren't familiar, he's in Dragon Ball's Universe 2, and the main antagonist in Dragon Ball Heroes, which isn't really much stateside, but that's the story I've been telling folks is because when I learned I got cast as Few, Chris Sabat texted me, like, late at night. Yeah, late night, you know that late night text?
Uh-huh.
It happens at 2 a.m. You're like, what you want? He's like, I want to let you know, you're the new main villain in Dragon Ball. And I was like, I have like a screenshot of the text. I'm like, what does it mean? I'm like, who is that? And as it turns out, Few is in Dragon Ball Heroes, which is a, secondary kind of like a property out. Very popular in Japan though. So I'm excited to go out there. Hopefully they let my filthy American body in March. I'm gonna go out there and I'm going to Japan, you guys. I'm going to Japan. First time ever. I want to go to Nintendo Land in Osaka. I'll take that bullet train. Yeah, Nintendo Land. It's over at Universal. I know nothing, by the way. I'm literally just making a list like as of yesterday. My brother, I want to see things. I want to see cherry blossoms. I want to bump.
Come over to my neighborhood down the street. I have cherry blossoms. Sure.
Are you being for real?
Yeah, dude. I drive down my alley, go home. There's like people in my whole neighborhood have cherry blossoms.
But I want it to be like an anime where like around the corner there's like
You know what?
girl with toast in her mouth and she bumps into me.
You know what? Anime's not real, right?
Don't you blaspheme in my heart.
Sorry. Well, let's see here. I'm going to cut my time here today with you guys a little short. I'll be here for about 30 minutes. But I was leaving some people at the table in there, so I don't want to leave them waiting too long. Again, like I said, didn't know this was happening, but that's okay. So I'm sure I really brought the room down there. Sorry for that.
I'm still excited.
Yeah, see? Ricco's great. So I guess probably the best thing for us to do is take questions.
Wait, we have a new challenger.
Crap.
Oh, what am I doing? I'm gonna make the guitar sound like
New challenger.
John Swasey.
John Swasey, when did you find out about this panel?
About 1 second after I finished the panel, I just finished in here.
Okay.
I'm back. Literally, I'm getting up to leave. They go, just so you know, you've actually got another panel in here right now. On what? Dragon Ball Z. Really? The thing I just did. We're gonna do it again.
All right.
Can't get enough.
So I figure the easiest thing for us to do is take questions.
Oh, yes.
All right, let's do that.
Can I get you a beer?
What's that?
I said, can I get you a beer?
I really can't understand.
Get you a beer?
Oh, yeah.
That's a yes question.
It's really, that is never a question.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Yes, and.
Yes, and. It's an improv
We're
skill.
all learning improv right now. This is great.
There we go.
There we go. That's Well, as a side note, I want to say, y'all, I was a last minute addition to this, and I appreciate y'all being here because it's been really lovely to be feeling y'all's energy. So this is my first Kamehacon.
Keep your hands off my energy.
I love energy.
Stop touching my energy.
So nice.
Energy.
Your
It's
energy,
mine.
Trunks' energy is so round and voluptuous. It is though. That's canon. That you guys looked up.
What?
Yeah.
Weird.
You didn't know that?
I really try to keep
Join
my
the
eyes on my own energy.
I just drank a can of energies.
All right, sir. Question. Sorry.
Okay, so I know this is a Dragon Ball thing, but it just occurred to me that we got Shigaraki, All for One, and Lemillion in the same panel too, so I have to pose a question. I'm only watching the dub anime, so I'm not caught up on, I'm not gonna spoil anything because I don't know anything. So assuming,
guys. I'm just kidding.
assuming that Lemillion gets his powers back, I hope so, because like, why would he just be there and then just get shafted, right? Would you be, I guess like this question is more for Ricco there. Are you looking forward to, like, let's say if this does happen, I don't know, would you like Lemillion to fight, I guess, Shigaraki and All for One there?
Wait, both of them at once?
He would die instantly.
I mean, maybe like,
Why are you trying to do that to my boy?
oh my God.
Although it would be hilarious, Mirio con permeation with permeation to just watch them fail. It'd be really cool to watch them miss a bunch. But yeah, at some point you have to try to like actually hit
Lemillion
them.
would like cross paths, like he would like join the front lines of like, you know, Bakugo and Shoto and Deku, like fighting All for One of the main cast. Like I have not touched the manga at all. I don't know what's happening after
Well,
episode.
yeah, there's a lot, man. There's a lot.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stuff's about to get real.
I mean, y'all can fight right now. Do it. Do
But
it.
let me just tell you real quick, this is how a fight would go. Are you familiar with the small animated short Bambi Meets Godzilla? Oh yeah. Well, if you haven't seen it, it's a little drawing animation of Bambi just eating grass, and you hear birds and the twinkling of the, you know, la 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 la, you know, and all of a sudden Godzilla's foot just goes. That's how the fight would go down.
But Manny would permeate. And come rocking up through the.
We would absorb.
That's interesting. Those are dream fights, though. Dream bouts. You can do that. Yeah.
I have no idea, but hopefully. Yeah.
Anybody else got a question? If not, we can go.
Questions?
Really?
Anybody
All right.
questions?
Don't make us
Now,
start asking you questions.
There we go.
What is the weirdest thing you had to do in the recording booth?
Weirdest thing we had to do in the recording booth.
Pretend to be things that don't exist.
Acting.
Acting. That's all acting is.
I signed an NDA saying I'm not allowed to tell you the weirdest thing I've done in the booth. It's a law.
The weirdest thing I ever did in the booth was a long time
Weirdest thing
ago.
you had to do, not something for extracurricular. She said you had to do, not.
And by the way,
This is something I had to do.
Okay.
we're talking about a session, not when you went in the booth by yourself one night. And just, Where's Eric? He's in the booth again.
I slept there for a while. I was in between places. There was a time where I was paid to make fart sounds. And I just stood in the booth for an hour and just made fart noises.
Yeah.
I didn't have that gun loaded at the time, so they weren't real. But I'm pretty good at fart noises with my mouth.
I am.
Like, and my favorite. You've done that.
My favorite one is.
Yeah. That's the elevator one. I do that to my wife in the elevator. If you give me a crowded elevator and everyone's quiet, and then I just go. That's nasty. We're in an elevator.
You have to look angrily at someone.
Yeah.
Anyways, like,
I'll tell you the weirdest thing I ever had to do, and I was doing this show, and I can't even tell you what it was, but it was a long time ago. And my character is a very serious anime, and my character is a bad guy, and surprise, surprise, and I'm in the back of a car, and I'm being pleasured by a woman of the female persuasion. And I won't go into it, but I had to make the groan and noise of said pleasure. And when you're in the booth and there's a engineer and a director, both who are male, and you're looking at them and you're going, oh, you know. You're just looking at you like, you're trying to do this thing. And just,
That I can piggyback on that story. That's the wrong word to use, but like I had anime
at 2:15, it's turned into an 18-year-old repast.
It's after dark. Bigata H Kai was the first anime I ever worked on. Chris George was engineering, and Zach was directing. And the first line my character had was talking to, I think, Brittany Karbowski's character. And he's like, "Oh yeah, can I take your picture?" And she's like, "Why do you want it?" And then in her imagination, my character is also pleasuring him, etc., to this picture. That was my first anime experience ever, you guys. I was like, all right, and I'm like going to school, I'm going to SMU, like from getting my master's, and now I'm doing like Shakespeare and all this like really deep. Okay, cool, like this is anime. Let's get into it, right? And it's like, all right, so here's your first cue. Groan for 8 seconds, and I'm like. I look at Zach, and Zach's like, welcome to anime. Is that cool?
8 seconds? What is this, a bull ride?
It was a long time. It felt like 8 seconds.
I will tell you, well, it always does. The weirdest thing I ever had to do, the weirdest thing that I ever said, and this was actually, I was directing, and there was somebody in the booth, that may have been Christina Kelly or somebody, and she read a line, and it was like, hey, throw those, I want to take those with me. Making up the line, but it ended on the word me. And as a director, you give like, hey, you don't know the context, I need you to lean on this word a little more, give this word more emphasis, you know, whatever. And so I wanted her to end on a down note. So I said, hey, Christine, that was great. Let's do it again. Could you just go down on me?
No, I did not say that! I did not say that!
And I was like, oh, it's so embarrassing. I mean, she laughed, but I was like, oh my God. And I meant, could you go down on the word me? Sometimes these things pop out and you just don't know it.
Sometimes these things pop out. You guys swear.
See, I wasn't even going to go there.
You got it on the radar now. Everything's like that. You did this to my brain.
How long does it take for you to do every episode? Because there's like a lot of movies become up popular.
How long does it take to record?
To the episodes, yes. How long?
It just depends on what you're recording.
How many lines you have?
Yeah.
Like
You know, I mean, I can spend 8 hours on an episode that I'm a lead role in, or I could spend an hour on a show I'm a lead role in. It just kind of depends on so many factors. The line count, how difficult it is, how easy the animation is to match the flaps, because sometimes the animation's real wonky, sometimes it's very precise. And so there's just a lot of moving pieces. There's no real set time.
We have basically what we do, and we do it differently. Like Funimation does it one way, Sentai does it a different way. No one way is better than the other, it's just different. But like Eric said, it depends on line counts. But you can, you could have 50 lines, let's say, in an episode. 25 of them are efforts, where you're just going, or something like that. So those are easy. But if it's not written well, and it's an intricate line, it's a long line, you could sit there and go, well, that didn't work, and oh man, the writer didn't put the pause in the right place, we gotta go back and fix it. I'm doing a script right now, or working on a show right now, and it's like the writer just, I don't know what they were on, man, but I'm like, dude, we've had to rewrite every line. And that takes twice as long, so it just really depends.
I was recording a show where I was playing an actor doing a play. And
Inception.
Right? It was an Inception. And I had to stop and tell the director that the whole, for the first 2 pages of the episode, all the actors kept in the writing, in the script, it kept reading that they were going to practice. Like, okay guys, it's time for us to go to practice. We have practice tonight. Let's go practice. So you don't practice a play, you rehearse a play. Right? That's a very specific detail. If you're an actor, you know. And whoever was writing this clearly didn't know that, but had littered it with these mistakes which require us to stop and fix. And so that can also, like John was saying, really slow the process down.
Or if you're lucky and the script is awesome, and you just hammer through it, you're like, we're done early. That's like a gift.
Yeah.
Or,
Long lunch.
and the other caveat to it all is, if your name is Monica Rial, you'll be done in about 15 minutes.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
That's true. That's true too. Who else? Oh yeah.
Hey guys, with all your voiceover careers over the years, what kept you guys going during the time when you guys weren't getting roles for long periods of time?
Oh, that's a good question. Now, did you read that question? Like, did somebody send it to you, or?
No, I typed that somewhere.
Oh, okay. So I'm just curious. It's a great question. So, what was it again?
So what
How do you keep going through the
how do you keep
tough
going
times?
through the low times as an actor?
Well, I don't know about these two chaps, but I've never had a low time. I'm not familiar with that phrase. No, you do whatever you have to do, man. You do, and just know that. I mean, it is like this, you know. I mean, and right now for me, I mean, I direct, so I'm busy every day. But as an actor, there are times, you're like, God, I just worked for that director like 3 shows ago. Like, I thought I did a good job. I wonder why they haven't called me back. Well, there's a couple of factors. Number one is there are so many actors now that do this. Like when I started, I mean, I know we started different times. There weren't that many people doing it, so we get called on to do like, hey, I need you to do these 50 roles, And now there's so many people doing it, each person can roll. But sometimes you do a show and it's nothing but teenagers, or nothing but girls, or nothing but whatever. And it's like, well, I don't fit that demographic, so I'm not going to be working on that show. It's nothing personal. It's just whatever. So you do what you got to do. You just, wait tables or whatever. Create your own content.
Yeah, I like to say staying generative, whether it is directing, and directing's great, anything that is involved in the craft. I think a lot of this came up through theater, and there's that sense of like, if you're not in the thing. I was on a film set. There's an amazing actor that I worked with in Dallas who was on the construction crew. He was like working as a carpenter. I was like, "What are you doing here? Are you acting?" Because he's fantastic. I saw Drew Walls. Drew, what are you doing here? And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm building." And they get paid well, by the way. Like union carpenters, you make some money. But I thought for sure he'd be acting, right? But he's like, "No, I'm working on the set." You know what I mean? And I think that is something that's a good, example of. You're staying generative, you're still, whether you need to make that dough, like, if you're just sitting on a big old pot of money, you can just sit back and relax. But even then, you should be working on your craft. There should be something that is like you're creating. Because if you sit back and enter the dark void, I don't know, it's kind of like Mirio, where he falls into the ground, you just you can't breathe, you can't see.
Did you say Mario?
Mario.
Mario.
Mario. Eric.
In Super Mario Brothers?
You know what?
Stay generative.
I've been listening to this podcast, and this is something important. Always, if you don't know how to pronounce a word, find out. So I'm listening to this podcast, and this woman, I love the podcast. In fact, I'll just tell you, it's called You Must Remember This. It's all about the film industry, and it's wonderful. And this woman created the podcast, but she was talking about something, she goes, yeah, like akin to the characters in Texas folk tales, like Pico's Bill. Pico's Bill? Pecos? Yeah, I mean, west of the Pecos.
Pico de Gallo.
It's Pecos. Just Pecos, Anyway.
Who else got a question?
Please do not end on that note.
We're going to end on Pico's Bill.
I'll never forget.
Hey, there we go.
Do y'all prefer working at the studio or at home?
At the studio. At the studio.
This is remote.
Do we prefer working at home versus the studio? And the answer for all 3 of us is at the studio. I can speak for every actor I know. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, and that, I mean, remote recording is great. And if there's one thing that the pandemic gave a thumbs up to, it's studios really had to, even though the technology's always been there, we really had to embrace it and really learn to work with it. And the beauty of that is now, I've got, as a director in Houston, I can record either one of these guys, and they don't have to come down to Houston, they can record from up here. But if they want to, they can do it from a home studio. But we actually have a studio up in Dallas that we use, where they would go to the studio. And for me, man, if I do stuff at home, I just don't get it done. That's me. You know, I like to go to work and go to a place. And then when that's done, I like to leave that and go to my home.
Yeah. It's like a playing space, and it's a trip to be able to, like, yeah, we have our home studios. Like, I ended up buying a whisper room, and it's cool to go in and holler my face off and do all these things, and then exit, and there's my cats, and, you know, I'm in my underwear, I'm like, whatever. But, like, the point that I think when you're ready, you know, you're in a studio, you're there, you're ready to play. You have an engineer right there, you have a director looking at you. You get so much, you guys, from, I mean, shoot, we've all been cloistered up in a pandemic for a while. When you see another human being, you're like, oh, yes, human energy, interaction, you know, like, I play a lot of video games online. I'm gonna tell you guys, like, I do a lot of online gaming, but I love playing board games. I love being with people. Like, there's this energy, and especially when you're trying to do something that is emulating life, creating, like, a real scene. Oh man, it's being in the studio is the way to go.
Absolutely.
That's a nice contribution on your part, by the way. Absolutely.
All right, let me go further. So here's the deal. I'm good. I'm fine.
There, hello there. All right, so I have a question for Mr. Vale. Since he did Trump, oh my God.
Yes, sir.
I can't believe I'm asking. All right, so episode.
I can't believe you're asking it either.
Now I'm in disbelief as well.
How did they allow, I think it's Toei or whatnot, episode 56, how did they allow that to go through? Goku Black, the most mean quote.
Oh, the line?
Yeah.
Oh, hold your fire?
Quote.
Hold your fire, yeah. So the line being, hold your fire, this man isn't black. But it's not hold your fire, this man isn't black. It's hold your fire, this man isn't black. Capital B. It's his name.
How dare you ask that question?
I was in the studio. We have to record quickly. So one of the reasons you guys end up seeing the same actors in these roles in anime often is because this is a very precise job. There are specificities to it that are, excuse me, that's my mother-in-law. No, I'm serious. I'll be right back.
So to further elaborate on what he's saying, I believe what Eric is saying, it's a very specific job. We've all been doing this for a while, so we know what we're doing, as opposed to, let me see if I can really mess up this phone call. Well, but when we go in, you know, so we budget, for instance, a certain amount of lines per hour, okay? And when you come in, you're expected to be able to do that. And you're expected to be able to give a good performance. You're expected, you know, you don't need to be handheld through the process. That's why when you start out doing this, you get little bit characters and stuff like that. But for bigger roles, it's people that have cut their teeth and put, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years. I mean, it's, you know, I know what I'm doing. Ricco knows what he's doing when he's in the booth. Eric, not so much. But, no, he's on. But anyway, the thing is that's so we're called upon for that expertise that we bring. So, you know, I think that's kind of where it was going with that.
I'm not gonna let you go. I've never seen this. why. I don't walk it until I step back. If you're in the universe, you're like, oh, got it. I'm gonna.
See, but now I don't know why they left that because what's the character Black?
Goku Black.
Goku Black. Then I would have actually changed it to that's not Goku Black.
But then also, and that's true. Like I don't know if there's any
Not
like.
this man is not, or don't, whatever.
It's hard to get them all. It's hard to adapt. I don't adapt scripts.
But I mean, that, you know what? I gotta be honest with you. That's kind of a big one. I don't know how you let that one slip through the cracks.
Okay, so I don't know about your experience with this, but my experience with Dragon Ball, at least, was mostly through few and the games. And there are times where in Japan they're like, you have to say it this specific way. You have to adapt it in this way. And in English, you're like, it's gonna say this man isn't black, which for us in English, like that has connotations to it. But in Japan, it might sound completely fine, and in fact, it might have a different, it hits different. So obviously, we're here together. Was like, well, that's a little weird, isn't it? I would be interested to know what it was like in the Japanese, but.
Well, so yesterday in the green room, we were kind of talking about this. Different parts of the country have different, you say things differently. And
like
one of the things,
regionalisms?
yeah, regionalism, like Josh Green was talking about, throw that cow over the fence, some hay. Well, you're not saying throw the cow over the fence. You're saying throw some hay to that cow that is over the fence. But if you say throw that cow over the fence, some hay, it sounds like you mean throw that cow over the fence. And then for some reason go, some hay. So it is different like that, but I mean, it's like, I'm just like, golly, I don't know when that was done, but I'm like, man, you gotta be kidding me. That's pretty crazy. So it is.
It's hard sometimes to be found.
At least we can all laugh about it because we know what it is. But so that's about it.
WB, welcome back.
Hi. Okay.
You alright? Everything cool?
Yes, I found my family. I found my family.
Thank God. Guys, let's give it up for Eric. I played it.
Oh, the clip? Okay, great. All right,
So we're caught up.
All right, we're caught up. Great. So here's what happened. We are working in such a deadline-based business. You got to be really fast. It's very specific to do this kind of work. So when I get in the booth, oftentimes I am, in fact, every time I'm cold reading. I've never seen these lines before. And literally the first time the words come out of my mouth or the first time I'm reading it. So my goal is to hit it right on the nose at the beginning. So I get that whole line out of my mouth, right? And the second it's over, I'm like, what? And I looked at the director and he's sitting there and he's like, oh my gosh. And he immediately goes, we can't do that. We're gonna have to record something else. And I went, no we don't. That's the line that was written, that's the line that I said, that's the take that we're keeping. And the director totally listened to me. No, we thought about it for a minute. He's a good buddy of mine, and he was like, we can't. And I'm like, it's written, it clearly means something other than what it sounds like it means. But if we leave it in there, then it's going to be a meme. It's going to be hilarious. And it'll be something we'll be talking about for a long time. And it's one of the only chances that we get in our business to do a little bit of social commentary. Because we don't get the chance to do that. Because we are very specific. So every time when something like that comes through, and you get the chance to say something that's both funny, but kind of shines a light on something that's very important, I want to keep it in there. So that was kind of what...
Where did you record that?
This is a few years ago. 4 years ago? About 4 years? 5 years ago? Something like that, yeah.
Because I would say, if it was probably in the last year or two, you probably would not have kept it.
Yeah, I would. Are you kidding? Absolutely. Look, the thing is, okay, let me ask everybody in the room. Is it funny?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it important?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we keep it?
No.
See, now, if John was my director that day.
No, well, when you walked out, I would have probably, as a director, I would have changed it to don't shoot, it's not Goku black or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
But I understand your point.
It seemed like the right thing to do. And here we are years later, still talking about that one
You're
line.
talking about it. This is true.
And so that means that the topic is still, while funny,
Relevant.
at the top of people's minds and relevant to what's happening. And to me, that kind of thing is important. And I'm not like a social justice warrior or anything, but I do have the things that I believe are important. And I'm always going to stand by those, sometimes to my detriment. Thank you. Thank you. Good night. No, seriously, guys, I'm gonna run. My family just got here. I'm gonna take them in there and do a little shopping, spend some of the money that you guys have given me. Lily, stand up. Wave to the crowd. Hey. That's my daughter, Lily.
All right, thank you, man.
Say hi.
Yeah.
That's okay. You just spoke a little. This is Ricco. Say hi.
Hey, how are you?
Here. This is John. Say hi.
Hi, how are you, Lily?
And Lily, that's everybody.
Hi, Lily. Hi.
Oh my God. Uh-oh. It's turned off. I'm sorry.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
All right, let's go, man.
Hey,
We're gonna go shopping.
Eric, how old were you when you started acting, voice acting?
What's that?
How old were you when you started voice acting?
But let's just say his first script was carved in stone.
I'm 47 years old today.
Okay.
It's not my birthday, but now I'm 47. And I started 21 years ago. Oh, wow.
Okay.
I'm 56 and I started 25 years ago.
Thank you.
All right, we got another question right here.
I honestly forgot my question after everything.
I really thought you were going to get the mic and go, well, my question was for Eric. But I could jump over in his seat real quick and answer that.
No, I guess, Ricco, are you a cat person? Because you said after finishing recording at home, you get to see your cats. Are you a cat person?
I'm a big cat person, yeah. Man, at one point,
Now, does that mean like your Tiger
I am
King
a
big
big
cat?
I like tigers. No, I enjoy cats. Well, yeah, I like big cats too. I don't own any though. I'm not like.
So you're not a big cat person like you like big cats. You're a big cat person.
Which, by the way, I was gonna go to that place. I didn't before all that went down. Anyway, side note. I didn't realize it was so close, you guys. Tiger King was close. Anyway, I love cats. At one point, I grew up on a farm in California, and we had 13 cats at one point. And we had the big old bag of dry food, and we just kind of, they all come running from all everywhere. And we would adopt any cats that would come in. Yeah, it was good times.
You remember the commercial about cat herding?
No.
The Super Bowl commercial?
Which one was that?
Oh my gosh, one of the funniest things is these old cowboys, and they're all like running a bunch of cats and stuff instead of cattle. And they're like pulling them out of rivers, like cowboys. They're just this old crusty cowboy, like, ain't nothing like it in the world. when you bring that herd in, it's a special feeling like nothing else.
All its stupid little tails going up. Whatever it's, I love it.
I got scratched here. I've been bit over here.
We got another question over here.
Cat friend is very funny.
I'll check it out. Huge cat person. Got 3. I was fostering 3 at the beginning of the pandemic because we were going to give them away, keep 1, and now I have 3 cats. So I'm sure you guys, maybe during the time, you're like, oh, now's the time to get an animal. The shelter is right. You don't want the animals to be, And we did good. In Dallas, there were no more dogs left, which was awesome at one point. And then, which is a good thing to have. You want the shelters, empty because everyone's adopting them. But yeah, I did not anticipate having this many animals. Lots of poop. Lots of cat poop. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Great.
As you classified cat poop, I was like, a lot of poop.
I love
the cat poop.
I don't want you thinking some other kind of poop anyway. I don't poop. No.
All right, we got another question.
Okay. Yes, my actually, it was an original question. It was intended for all of y'all, but besides asking Eric how old he was when he started voice acting, I also wanted to know each of you How old you were when
So
you started?
I'm 56, and I started in 1997. I've been doing this for 25 years.
25. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you too. You too.
Oh, what is it? 2011? I think I got my first like role. That one big God's Age guy I was telling you about. So yeah, about 10 years. 10 years doing, I guess, anime specifically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And I will tell you, like it's really weird to do shows that people come up because people ask me that don't know about anime and they're like, well, like who are at these conventions and are they kids? And I'm like, oh, there's kids, there's adults, there's families, people that have like come up to me and they're 25, 30 years old. They're like, dude, I used to watch you when I was a kid, and here's my kid. And I'm just like, wow, that's cool, and they're bringing them up, watching it. And I can tell you, when I started doing this, there might be 1 or 2 conventions a month somewhere. And now, I say now, they're getting back to that, but pre-pandemic, there were 5, 6, 7 conventions a weekend somewhere, I mean, if we had it in us, it would be exhausting. We could do conventions 52 weeks out of the year. And it's brutal, but it's like, that's what this industry has become. And it's 25 years ago when I started doing this, I had no idea what anime was. In fact, my very first audition, I said this earlier in the panel before this, when I was asked to audition for this, I said, what's anime? And they're like, it's Japanese animation. I'm like, well, I don't speak Japanese. Like,
That's a fair question,
we
by the way.
We dub it into English. And I'm like, oh, okay. So even for the first couple of years, I was like, I don't know what this is. It looks like Speed Racer to me, I don't know. And to me, it was just another gig. I would have never dreamed that in 2020 or back when I started directing, but certainly now that this would be my full-time job between directing, acting, conventions, etc. That it's a full-time gig, and it's all because of you. So kudos to you. Thank you. Y'all are what makes this whole thing run.
Legitimately, yeah. I did not anticipate. I went to school for theater, and I was like, going to do Shakespeare. I was out in Spring Green, Wisconsin, working at American Players Theater. I was doing their journeymanship. They're like, all right, so you're coming up here, you're moving up here, you're doing theater out in the woods. I was like, maybe. I got this audition though, out in Dallas for some voiceover. And man, like, I don't know about you. The motto for me is like just follow the work. Has been kind of my groove. I'm from California originally, from Los Angeles. My brother's like, when you coming back to LA? Been in Dallas area for 10 years. Oh my God, a decade. Anyway, time keeps going, guys. That's the weird thing about time. Anyway, but yeah, it's a trip because I did not anticipate. I grew up watching anime. I love the medium, and when I got to act in it, I was like, cool. Did one. Back to my film and commercial and all stuff. I do a bunch of stuff, but it's funny. Like I was like, hey Google, who's Ricco Fajardo? It's like, Ricco Fajardo is an American voice actor and blah blah blah. I was like, that's the trip. Because I've done so much other work in my life that is not like voice related, but because it's like, do you know what I mean?
So yeah. If you my Wikipedia page, it just talks about anime.
It's exciting though. Like, it's really cool. People freak out. I will admit, like some folks. I was on a show called Cruel Summer on Hulu. We just got re-up for second season. Go watch it. What is it? There was a person who came up and like, oh yeah, I'm not familiar with your work, but you've got like 250 credits on IMDb, and those aren't animated, you guys, because that's bit parts too. That's me being Soldier 3 and Full Metal. That's me being whatever. Blah. So like these credits look like I've been in every movie in Greek, but like these are bits also. Yeah. So these poor like other film actors who've been like at it for 10, 20 years, they're like, I've got like 50 credits. I'm like, well, I do the anime, so whoever thought that I could look at that? Yes.
Yeah, and of course the other thing too is they look at it, I the same thing, right? And they're like, God, man, it's like, well, what you don't know is the day rate is not $700 a day.
That's right.
It's
It's
a little less.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
All right, got another one. So when you guys start a new character and they kind of give you the backstory, like maybe this character is really evil or he's got a really tragic backstory, what kind of like influences or experiences you guys have that you kind of channel to get those kind of deep emotions?
Man, I just think about my family. No, I'm kidding.
We're about to go down that road.
Yeah,
Here we go.
no.
Everybody pack up.
My family's
We go with
my
it.
family's perfect. No, I just for me, I try to do some research on the character and stuff. I don't know. Were you at the panel before this? Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of the same answer. We listen to the Japanese and kind of do what they do. So, it helps to familiarize yourself with the character. And I've gone so far as to find out who the Japanese actor is and maybe go listen to some other work they've done just to get an idea for their timbre, their voice, and that kind of thing. But really when it comes down to it for a particular role, when you walk in, I try not to have too much preconception. First of all, I'd probably audition for it if it's a big role. So I have some idea, okay? But I really rely on the director and listening to we refer to the J. We just call it the J. But we do that, and that's where we get our kind of our kickoff point. But I will tell you just real quick, and I'll hand it off to Ricco, but when I did, what's the show?
I'm gonna look up your IMDb.
No. I play Lord Death. What's the name of the show?
Oh God, bro. I'll look it up.
Soul Eater.
A little show called Soul Eater.
Did I mention I've been doing this for 25 years? My brain's mush. And when I did Soul Eater, I auditioned for Zach, as a matter of fact. Zach was the director, and I was working on a couple of shows, and I think maybe doing Crocodile in One Piece, and Gozaburo, and My Bride's a Mermaid, or whatever. But a lot of the voices I was doing was like this. So when I got, he goes, hey, I want you to audition for this thing called Soul Eater. I didn't know anything about it. He goes, you're going to be reading for a character named Lord Death. I was like, okay, of course I am. That's great. And I went in thinking, my name is Lord Death. So I started to audition. I saw the character, and I started doing it. And Zach stopped me. He goes, no. Listen to the actor. Listen to what the Japanese did. So I listened to that, and I was like, oh, he's way up here like this. I see. Okay, that's much different, than what I had anticipated or thought of. And so even then, after I got the part, when we're recording in our first session, I'd say 20 minutes into the session, Zach stops me and he goes, hey, where you've landed or evolved into the voice now, that's where I want it to be. So let's start over. Which was no big deal. I mean, we just went through it. I just had to, recreate the line. But I was kind of in the zone. And so that's how I developed a voice. So a lot of times that's how you come up